Well, thank you all. I appreciate the opportunity to offer a few observations, and it's a real honor to be here. It's never been to Australia, and it's been quite an experience. It's a beautiful town, and I had a chance to walk around the streets yesterday afternoon. It's a gorgeous town. Giuseppe talked a little bit about the European side. I wanted to maybe talk a little bit about the U.S. and what's going on there and how it may reflect in opportunities here in South Australia. So in the U.S. today, there's a common kind of terminology they've been using, one called new space and old space. Has anybody heard of that before? The old space are the manufacturers of many of the systems, largely defense or national security related, and also kind of to a degree, a side business would be supporting the commercial side, the commercial SATCOM. But most of their effort and revenues were largely national security related. Those companies are the one like I work for now, Lockheed, there's Boeing, Northrop Grumman, and others. Loral being the only one that was really completely commercial, but it was much smaller than the others. What's happened in the last few years is this thing called new space, which is, kind of exemplified by the company that's meeting right over here, SpaceX. But there's Blue Origin, and there's a number of others. And it's gotten, when I worked in the Defense Department, it kind of, you scratch your head. What role are these folks going to play? And it's yet to be determined. But it's a fascinating opportunity. There's a couple things, so, in reflection, there was an attempt at this in the late 90s. There was Iridium, Global Star, there was a number of them that tried to get into the business. There was a lot of excitement. This is almost pre-cell phone when they were trying to really do what we do today terrestrially with cell towers. They were trying to do it with space systems, low Earth orbiting space systems. A lot of energy, but it kind of got overcome by the terrestrial build out of cell phone technology and never really kind of got its way going. The closest one I think was Iridium. That was the one that was fielded first. But it ultimately became really almost a government system. It kind of collapsed on itself. It still exists today, but it's a very niche market. So what's different about today's new space is, one is the investors in it. It's largely, billionaires and venture capitalists that are supporting it, which offers a great deal of opportunity, but also builds in a little skepticism about, is it going to really be there for the long haul? They're trying to develop a market and a demand for this stuff that doesn't exist today, whether it's space tourism or some commercial weather, commercial imagery, and there's others that are trying to, but they're trying to develop a market. Now it's very exciting. It's offering great opportunities that both commercially and in the public sector that didn't exist before, and at a price point that's very different than they're used to paying with the so-called old space players. The technology is much more advanced today than it was back in the late 90s. We can do things much smaller, much more miniaturized. The control systems and the ground systems, the software systems are much more sophisticated than they were back then, and much more cost effective. But it's still a risky endeavor, and it's still trying to create a demand and a product space that is yet to be proven out in the marketplace. But there's a great deal of opportunity. Operating from space provides both global ability to do things globally, but also to do things much more, if you will, like cost effectively than, say, airborne systems. And if you're trying to do things like mapping and so on, it's much more cost effective to do it from space with a lot less manpower related too. So it's a challenge. I think, though, that there's a great deal of excitement, and I'm not the visionary that I'd like to be, but there's certainly a lot of people that believe that this thing is going to be the next, almost the next internet, and it remains to be seen just how it will mature. And the people that I think get out in front and find a niche product that, and can close that business case are the ones that are going to be the big leaders 5-10 years from now. It's an opportunity, but it's also a risk. And but it's a challenge that a place like South Australia can really capitalize on. You have a unique locale. You're in the middle of an area in which very dynamic area that has just kind of at the juxtaposition of all kinds of issues here, and it's just and probably the highest growth area in the world. So it's a great challenge if you can find the right niche, and that's the kind of the guts of it. If you can find the right product that will globally be of interest. So anyway, thank you very much.